Hey guys, out here in Appalachia today, we have this snowstorm, our first real winter weather of the year, probably the only snowstorm. Last January, we only had one snowstorm, gave us about 4 inches of snow, of this light snow because of how cold it gets here when it snows. It's interesting compared to where elsewhere where I've lived when it snows, and there's a lot of moisture. I apologize. Sarah and I have been sick since last weekend when we had the winter storm ice apocalypse warning and we got sick. I'm getting over it, but it's not going to stop me from getting out, getting my winter whites on, getting my Arctic tundra on, and enjoying the one snow day a year we get. So anyway, I'm out here and I have been seeing some stuff on, I say social media because I've seen a couple of the reels on both Instagram and YouTube about winter camouflage and camouflaging gear and stuff. So I wanted to do a quick winter camouflaging video for rifles because I've seen other winter camouflaging videos for rifles, and I just wanted to just not necessarily throw my two cents in there, but to kind of just show what I have utilized and what has worked for me in the past in other places I've lived, like the Pacific Northwest and New England, for camouflaging weapons and gear and whatnot. So before we get into that, sponsors and affiliates of today's video are Brownells, Krushinki Co., Rucksock, and others. All the affiliate codes and discount codes are available in my link tree in my bio on Instagram, Roadies_plaid. Thank you to all those companies for sending me gear, incentives, etc. to keep this channel and the page going and getting me to be able to get out and do stuff in weather and environments like this. So thank you to them. All right, let's get into the video. So winter camouflaging and not necessarily how to, but just simple field expedient winter camouflage methods. So the first field expedient camouflage method is just don't. Now this is my block 2, my 16-inch block 2. It is here. Let's hold it. There you go. There you go. It is not painted. It is not winterized at all. There's no white. There's no paint. There's no anything. There's just the snow that's been gathering on it because what I did before I made this video, something I learned from a 1968 winter warfare, U.S. Army winter warfare manual, from 68, middle of the Cold War, for Arctic environments. One of the things that was taught or that is utilized in Arctic warfare, in Arctic environments, when you're bringing your weapons, your rifles, your machine guns, in and out of warm and cold environments, you want to give them a time to acclimate. So what that means is, like in a 20-man Arctic tent, there is a vestibule or what's the word? Starts with a foyer at the beginning of the tents, where there's a flap, but it's not inside, so it's not completely heated like the inside, but it's not the sub-zero temperature or potential sub-zero temperatures outside. It's kind of in between. And what that does is it lets your rifles, and generally in a winter environment, you don't want to bring your weapons into the complete heated environment, because when you take it from a warm environment and you put it out into the sub-freezing temperature environment, your weapon will sweat. And what that sweat does is it builds up a thin layer of ice on your rifle, both the internals and externally. So what that does is that seizes up your rifle. I'm talking it sweats in every crack, in the crack of the extractor, all the cracks of the bolt, in the bolt face, all of that gets that sweat. And then once it gets cold, once it gets that sub-freezing temperatures, it freezes and it will seize up a rifle. So what I did before I came out here to do this, I put them between my glass door and my front door, where the temperature is, there's a little bit of a difference. It's not this, I think it's 27 out right now. So it's probably in the 30s in between those two doors because of the warm interior door. So it lets you get acclimated. I'm going to do the same thing before I bring it in, because now that they've been sitting out here, they're so cold. most of the snow isn't sticking to it, right? That's an indicator that it is the same temperature. That is a winter warfare tip, right? A weapon tip. So, unpainted. Look at that against the white snowy background. Unpainted. No paint on either side. Just the normal woodland camo, the woodland paint scheme. The woodland paint scheme. I painted it, right? So that is. I want it to fall over. Last thing I need is ice in my muzzle. So that is an unpainted firearm. Then this is the CQBR, the 11.5 that I have. The clone of each other, the mini-me. And I just took, let me see if I can get in my pocket. I'm not taking my glove off. I just took cloth athletic tape. Not the plastic kind, but the cloth athletic tape. It sticks better, and it sticks better when it's wet. The plastic athletic tape generally doesn't stick well when it gets wet, i.e. snow and ice on it. So I just put randomized stripes all over the receiver, forend, the magazine, all over it, right? I put randomized stripes on it, and now look at it, it's outlined in the snowy background, right? See how that, it just kind of breaks it up. Obviously, it still looks like a gun. Obviously, it still looks like a gun. I'm not flagging myself in the face. Obviously, it still looks like a gun, but it has, see what happened? See? I did. I put both of them in the in-between of the doors to try and get them acclimated. But when I came out here, I propped this up against a tree while I was unslinging that one, and it slipped and fell completely in the snow. And you can see how the snow is building up. The snow and ice, it's iced over, which isn't good. And I kept the optics covers closed when I came out, because that's another thing in winter warfare is, unless you're in big open snowy plains, you're going to be in a wooded environment, right? Generally speaking, unless you're in a STEPPE, step type environment, you're going to be in a snowy wooded environment where if you're going to be taking shots, or if you're going to potentially having to utilize your firearm, it's going to be close range. It's going to be potentially close enough, like with how thick this vegetation is, where you would potentially react to contact, right? You'd react to contact without really even having to sight in. It's snowy, it's icy, you're cold, react to contact. You're not worried about, am I sighting in properly? You're worried about getting rounds back in the direction they're coming from and taking cover. And then you can kind of, hey, let me flip up my, okay, I got my optic. You know, thank God there isn't snow and ice in it where I can't see through it. I've got my optic, okay, up, right? So that's another thing, is keeping your optic as free of snow and ice as possible, even if that is, it's not firing blankly, but it is, you know, kind of point and shoot. Oh shit, it's coming from over there. Pop, suppression, and then take cover, optic, whatnot, right? So that's another winter warfare, winter weather. I'm talking too much. I got so much freaking phlegm buildup. But I love it out here. That's why I came out. I love being out here. I love being out in the snow. I miss it. I miss that from New England. We don't get it enough here in Appalachia. This part of Appalachia, at least. Because the Natahela is a rainforest. So when we do get weather, it's wet. It's not this dry. It's gorgeous. Anyway, unpainted, uncamouflaged. Camouflaged, right? Simple athletic, cloth athletic tape. Breaks up the silhouette just enough. It camouflages it against your body too, because yes, I know this, I haven't camouflaged my rig, but look, if I put that in front of me, kind of camouflages the front of it. And then don't want to slip because the snow on the leaves. That is one of the other things. I'm not wearing crampons. Snowshoes, most snowshoes. Do military snowshoes? I actually think most military snowshoes don't have them built in, but most civilian snowshoes have built-in crampons, like built-in ice claws, for obvious reasons. But I don't have a pair of crampons. I'm wearing my 16-inch bean hunting shoe. They're great. They're tall. They're not insulated. You wear big thick socks with them. But because of there's no ice or snow underneath this fresh snow, it makes the leaves very slippery, very icy. So, unpainted, uncamouflaged, taped, field expedient camouflage. And then I have these from back when we lived in Maine, in New England. This is a regular M4 style stock that I painted. It actually came with that Wyndham weaponry. It's a Wyndham weaponry stock, painted it white. The original Wyndham weaponry, regular M4, the larger, what do they call it? The C-clamp foregrip. So I have both of those. I can't put it on this because it's a pistol, firearm. But this is stock foregrip, and those are simple things that you can change out. You would still want to, if you weren't painting the weapon completely white, right, and you're just utilizing painted furniture, you would still want to tape, somehow field expedient tape the receiver, the metal parts of the gun. But this, then you don't have to worry about it peeling off, falling off, having to reapply it, right? So I have these. These are just, I mean, I could throw it on that. Well, I've got that extended, with the delta ring off of that on the extended carbine rail on that. I couldn't put this on. Could put this on here. Could put this on there. But like I said, this is a firearm, so I have to have the blade on it. But yeah, so that is, in a nutshell, field expedient camouflage for your firearm. You obviously can see where not having anything makes it stick out like a sore thumb. You can see where having this field expedient, it kind of looks goofy, but at a distance, oh my God, at a distance, it breaks it up. It makes it look like branches, in between branches, right? And then all white, the only issue with all white is you have to either do furniture and still do this, or you're painting the whole thing white. And I would say for guys that are 10th Mountain up at Fort Drum in New York, if I was stationed up there, or well, it's New York, so you really can't fuck around like this, but just hypothetically speaking, I would probably have a dedicated painted winter rifle. If I lived somewhere like that, right? Colorado, Fort Carson. The guys up in Alaska, Army Alaska, the 11th at Wainwright. Got a little windy, knocking everything. Like I said, this is light. It's dry. You know, it's dry. See, look. Hey, look at that. Winter camouflage. Instantly. That's leaning up underneath a tree, so it didn't get that bad. But see, there's the other thing. This is why you want your firearm to be conditioned to the cold weather, because when it gets snow, see? Once it's conditioned, it won't stick. Ta-da. It won't stick. The way, like I showed you with the ice buildup when I first brought it out. Now it's cold. It's cold. And with gloves, where you're touching, like if you're holding it on the forend, pistol grip, if you're holding it, it won't necessarily heat up that much that it'll make a difference, if that makes sense. So, winter warfare, Arctic warfare, winter warfare tips. This coming from somebody who grew up in New England, lived in the Pacific Northwest, served in the Pacific Northwest, came back to New England, lived in the Southwest, dealt with both the desert, but then also the high mountain snow and doing some stuff up there, as you can see in some of my previous videos from years ago. And now being here in Appalachia, where it is a rainforest, and we get one of these snows a year, and it's crazy because it shuts the whole place down. You'd think with it being the Smokies and with it being Western North Carolina, they'd somewhat be prepared for it, but kind of shuts it down for a couple days. So it's just my 2 cents. That's just my observations and things I've personally done. Obviously, I've never been to winter warfare combat, blah, blah, blah. But just as a field application, right? So thank you guys for watching. You got to see me slip and fall on the snow. Now I get to clean everything. I get to get everything wet and then wait for it to dry and then clean it and oil it to make sure it doesn't get fucking rusty. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. You guys stay safe and warm, especially those that are in Appalachia or in this snow belt that we had. Also, everybody in the ice belt from last week. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a good one.